This conference will now be recorded.
Hi all. So welcome to day 11 of the JMeter session. And as a recap, so what we started, we have started end-to-end scripting, right? End-to-end scripting for one of the scenario, that is product booking. So in last session, we have done the recording, right? With best practices. We have done few enhancement as well, right? If you remember. So we have completed few enhancement as well. And till here we have added this element, right? In till last session, right? Now so we left at dynamic values and doing correlation and parameterization, right? So we'll continue from here. Okay, now before we go and see this all thing, I'll discuss three things, right? Three important thing. First thing, uh, that if you remember, we have to change the heap size, right? As I said, it's good to change the heap size. So for those people who are working on Windows, so how to change that we know, right? We know that. But for Mac and Linux, how to change that, I'll be showing you first. Okay, so let us go in the bin directory. So I am in the bin directory, right? So here, as I said earlier, this jmeter.bat file, if you open that in Notepad++, so you can change the heap, right? Again, I'll just show you. Right click here and open that in Notepad or Notepad++, correct? So if you see here, this is the line that we have to play, but this we do not have to change it here, right? This is the example only they have given. We do not have to change it here. Again, I'm repeating. Just scroll down, right? Come here, come, scroll down. Here you'll get right here. Okay, remember at this line we have to change and we have to do nothing. We have to here by default one will be there, 1 GB will be there, right? 1 G. So you have to change that 1 to 2, 2 GB, 3 GB, whatever. How much we have to give, we will be discussing about this much in detail later on. For now, you can just give your 2 and you can give a 3 year initially, right? For now, later on we'll discuss more on this, what is heap and other thing. So you can change this value 1 to 2 here and this 3. Here the 1 will be there, that you can change to 3, and here the 1 will be there, that you can change to 2. So 2 GB, 3 GB, right? Same. So this is for Windows. Those who are working on Windows, they have to open this jmeter.bat file and change. Those people who are working on Linux, okay, Unix, Linux or Unix, correct, or Ubuntu, or those people who are working on Mac OS. So if they have to change, where they will be changing, right? So above this, if you see this file, correct, this file, right? So you have to open this in same in Notepad plus plus or Notepad. So if I open that in Notepad, so again same line will be available in this file as well, somewhere in the down here. Okay. See, this is the base heap. You can increase or decrease it to fit your system memory availability. So here, right? You see it's the same line. So this one, right? This one you have to change. So this where you have to do for Mac or Linux or Unix or Ubuntu, correct? In that system, which file again? I'll repeat. The file which is here, the top, right? This file. And for Windows, this one. Okay. Now, uh, how to know that whether the memory has been changed or not, right? So in last session I told that I'll be informing you in next few session, after few session, that how we can check, right? But let me tell you now only that how you will be knowing that whether the memory has been changed or not, right? So for Windows, let me first revert this back to 1 GB, correct? Earlier, initially by default it will be 1 GB, right? So I have changed to 1 GB in jmeter.bat file only, right? Now what we have to do is, you remember we installed Java 8, so we have to go to the C drive and the program files, correct, program files, and Java here, okay, and then inside that Java 8, right, Java 8 we have installed, correct, everyone. So you have to go inside that. So see the program file Java folder, and inside that Java 8 will be there. Go inside that, correct. Inside that also you will get bin directory. Go inside that, right? And then inside this, right, program file Java JDK Java 8, right, JDK 8, correct, JDK 8 1.8. JDK 8 will, you will see JDK 8 is 1.8. Okay, whenever you install Java 8, as I have told, Java 8 is the good for whenever you are working on JMeter, right? So whenever you install Java, it will be shown as 1.8. Okay, so JDK 1.8, and then inside that bin directory. Now inside this, there will be one file. If you just scroll down, this will be a file, JVisual VM. It's a very important file, JVisual VM, correct. So you have to just double click that. So for now, what I've done, you can send a shortcut to your desktop as well by right clicking, and uh, you can right click and you do send and send to desktop. By this way, if you do, so what will happen, no need to always come here, right? So I have that on my desktop as well. So instead of executing from there, I can execute from desktop as well, right? Here I have kept here. So I just shortcut, right? So we have to just double click that, either from here you open it, or from that bin directory open, correct. Right, double click and open that. So this is how it looks. Fine. Now what you have to do is, once you have opened that, then you open JMeter, correct. So let me open the JMeter. So once you open the JMeter, what will happen, a process will be shown over there, that JVisual VM. Okay, its name is Java JVisual VM. So you see here that Java JMeter process will be shown. Okay, you can see, right. So JMeter has launched, and process, okay, process ID. So that here it is shown. Now you just double click on that. Again, you have to do what, double click on that, right, double click. Once you double click, here details will come. So you can see here initially it's showing as 1G 1G, right, 1G 1G means the default is 1G 1G. Remember, we are default is 1G 1G. Now what I'll do, I will close the JMeter. Okay, so let us say I have to change now, right, change now. So I'll close the JMeter first. Once you close the JMeter, from that JVisual VM, that this process also you have to close. Okay, because it even though JMeter has been closed, it will after a few minutes it will go only. See, it went, right, but that process will be gone. But here that old window, right, it is open. You can close that also because it's old window, so you can close that. Fine. Now let us change. So here I'll give 2 GB, and here I'll be giving 3 GB, 3G. Fine, and let us save. Correct. So I have saved it, I have changed, and I've saved this file. Now you start the JMeter as a fresh. Okay, fresh. So again, I'll just start the JMeter. So again, when you start the JMeter, you can see that JMeter process in the JVisual VM. Right here again. Right. Now double click on that again. Let the JMeter open. Okay, I'll minimize this. I'll minimize. So again, if I double click, so you can see, right, now it is showing that it has been changed. Right. In the overview tab, you see 2 GB and 3 GB. What is XMS, XMX? That will I'll be discussing more again. But for now, later on I'll be discussing. But for now, how to be sure that whether it has been changed or not, this is the way. Okay, fine. And you can close this. Not needed now. Just to verify. Once you have verified, you can close this JVisual VM. Now remember, this JVisual VM, it only as per me, right, it is only coming with Java 8. Okay, Java 8. It's not there in 11 or the latest version of Java, which is 16. In that JDK, if you install the Java JDK, if you install, I think this is not there. Okay, it's not there. I'll write here so that you should not get confused, right? It's not there. That is what I know. Again, you check, right? Again, you check. But as per me, as I know, it's not there. So that's why in beginning I told, right, that Java 8 we have to install. There are two reasons why to have the Java 8, right? In one of the PPT I've written long back. One reason is that you'll get JVisual VM. It's a very important thing, right? We have just seen. And another thing in the view result tree, right? In this view result tree, right? This browser option, the last option that you are getting, correct? You remember, right? What this option is used, correct? So so this will not be available. Okay, if you install other version of Java, right, like Java 11, or if you install Java 16, right? So in that, right, in that this option, this browser option will not be there. Right? That is one drawback. Right? It will be there if you install Java 8. Right? Java 8. And again, this JVisual VM that will also be not there in 11 or 16. Okay, it will be there when you install the 8. Right? Okay, so it's clear, right? So you check that whether it's there in 16 or not. What I know is, like, I have Java JDK 11 here, and if I go to bin folder, it's not there. Okay, in 11 it's not there. Anyone who installs 16, you check there. I don't think it will be there. Okay, it's only available in Java 8. Okay, so that is the importance of Java 8 when you are dealing with, especially with JMeter. Okay, two very important, right? One is JVisual VM and another is this browsers option, right? That only comes when you have Java 8. If you do not have Java 8, this browser option will not be there, and that JVisual VM not will not be there. Okay, so going forward, if you face the challenge, right, remember this. So this 2 point done. Fine. Next, I'll be talking about one more thing. Once I've shown you one example of an application, like how one transaction can have multiple requests, right? So I'll be showing you one more example for that. Okay. So uh, I'll be playing a video for you. The application is not there. I'll be just playing a video for you to understand. Okay. Okay. So I'm going to play a video of an application. So right. So of an application. So redirection, how it happens, and single transaction can have multiple requests. So so this is an URL. Okay, main URL. Okay, in the URL, if you see, so I have right, something from pipacito URL. You cannot understand, but yeah, it's starting with pipacito something, right? TD pipeline. Okay, so I'm entering it. It's a homepage URL, right? Like how we have www.amazon.in, right? So like that, it's a homepage URL. So I have hit that, and I have pressed the enter button so that the pay homepage will be loaded. So let us see what happens. So URL is starting with bypass something, right? Bypass 2. Okay, so remember that. So see, okay, now you see, where was the URL? URL was at bypassito, right? Again, I'll go back. Where is the URL? Bypassito, correct? Now, now you see, it went to Federate. next URL, federate. Okay, you see federate and authorization here it's saying. So pipe, it changed to federate. Page still it has not loaded yet, right? But in the meantime, the URL has changed. It was pipe, then it has changed to federate. Okay, so here what we see, the initial URL is changing, right? That domain is changing, the base URL changing. You remember that ICICI example, ICICI.com, then it navigated to online.icc.com, right? Then the page was loaded. So base domain is changing, right? Base domain is changing. So what I have done here, I have done only one transaction. I have done launch transaction, correct? But here two URLs are there, two requests are there, right? Two requests. First, the main request was bypass2, then it redirected to another URL, that is federate, right? Federate. Okay. So likewise, one transaction is launched only, but it can have two multiple requests depending on application to application. Plus, base URL can also change. Okay, base URL. So here you see it was bypass2, then it changed to federate, right? Like the ICICI example which I have shown you. Now the page will be loaded. Home page will be loaded. Okay, so now home page has been loaded. Fine. Now after this is home page launch. Now what I have to do here, I have to do the second transaction, login. Okay, so I have to hit the user, put the username and password, and I'll log in, right? So I'll be putting that. Wait, yeah. So okay, fine. So I have put that username and password, and I've cleared this, right? So now next transaction I'm going to do is login, right? T02 transaction and login. Now here also you see how the domains will be changing, right? Different main URL that I'm talking. We are not talking about the embedded resource. We're talking about the URLs, correct? So currently it's at federate. You see, it's at federate. Now I'll press the login. See, wait. So from federate it changed to bypass2, right? Again federate it changed to original URL bypass2. Okay, and then again it will change to some other. See, now it changed to iGo forms. So it was federate, then it changed to bypass2, then it changed to iGo forms. You see above iGo forms. So total only one transaction, that is login transaction. Three URLs, three main requests, right? This request, then it went to this request, then it went to this request. Here in iGo, so three main domain only has changed here. Okay, total three. These are the three different main domains. Okay, domains is the first part, right? Amazon.in, Flipkart.in, in ICICI, right? ICICI.com, online ICICI.com, then ICICI.com, then ICICIonline.com, then infinity.icicionline. So main domain has been changed. Now once it reached to iGo forms here, right here iGo forms, here also two more requests will change. Okay, the subdomain will change, the subpath. If you see, it's currently at cross enterprise. Now it will change to some. See here, the path is changing. Okay, path is changing here. You can see those details over here as well by clicking. Okay, and then here again path has changed. So on the iGo forms also there are two change, one request, then to another request, and this is the last request. Three requests. So how many change here? Two before. So this transaction and how many requests now? Login transaction, how many requests now? The federate. Then from it went to bypass2, then it from that it went to iGo forms. In iGo forms only uh, two additional requests, right? Two additional requests. So around five requests, five main requests. We are not talking about these embedded resources. You see, these all are embedded resources. Not, we do not consider that as well. Okay, we should focus on the main request, right? For each transaction, that what we are doing. So understanding of the application is very important. Okay, now that login has been done here, you can see. Right after that, there is one more transaction for that is a different part of the. So this is what, right? So for this, I'll show you the script. See here, launch transaction, right? So it was having two URL. bypass it to the original, then it redirected to federate, correct, federate. So two requests for launch transaction, right? Then we were at federate and we hit the we enter the username and password and we did the login. So here login, right? So when we did the login, we were at federate, then it redirected to bypass it to, right? Then it went to IGO forms, right? IGO forms. You see, so three different domains only it's changing over here, right? Right, it can happen. It all depend on different application to application. Some sometime for some application the main domain, this is called main domain, it cannot change, it will be single only, it will be constant. This path can change. Okay, so now if you see we are at IGO forms, right? Now what I told, what I have shown, now in IGO forms only three requests, right? Three requests. So you see this one, then this one, right? You see, and then this one. Oh, it's same, part of same only, and then this one. Okay, correct. So at IGO forms only this URL, then it went to this URL, and then it went to this URL. Three changing, right? So this transaction was having how many requests here? Six requests. 1, 2, 3, 4, not six, five requests. Okay, five. So like this, what I wanted to show you guys is that how a transaction can have multiple requests. Okay, fine. So it all depends on application to application. So when you do the scripting, first you understand the behavior of the application, right? Okay, now we'll come back. So now we'll talk about the dynamic values, right? We'll come back to our scripting, correct? And yeah, so this is how you have to arrange also, right? Launch. So you know what is the use of transaction controller now? Transaction controller acts as a main transaction. Inside that, its respective request will be kept, right? Then your login, correct, login and its respective request will be kept inside that. So that is the use of transaction control, and that's why we group the corresponding request, right? And one more important use of transaction controller, you know, right? I have shown you that whenever you run, so we get the calculated response time, right? Let us say for login how much it is taking. So the transaction controller has the capability to add up the response time for this, for this, how much each request is taking. That all will be added, right? And it will be showing a total response time for login, right? So that is the main use of transaction controller, adding up the response time for each child request, right? And plus get putting all respective children's requests inside itself, right? Okay, next is, yeah, so we are here at 4.6. So when so in the script, so hope you people have watched the previous videos, right? That's what I said, previous videos are the foundations, correct? So now 4.6, right? Finding the dynamic values and doing the correlation and parameterization. So what is the dynamic value, right? So as I said, let me open one more JMeter. So we'll go to our project folder, test script, and this is the script on which we were working on, right? So I'll open that. So we are doing enhancement, right? Remember, and we left in the middle. So enhancement phase is bigger phase. Okay. So it's also called a scripting phase. Recording is easy thing, right? Recording is not that much tough. Only thing as a best practice, you should record using JMeter. I see many people recording using Blaze meter or Fiddler. No, record using JMeter. Okay. Whatever challenges you will face, I have given all the troubleshooting step for that, those challenges. Okay. Now I'll open this script in JMeter, our pet store product booking. So what is correlation, right? And what is parameterization and what is dynamic value, right? So in your script, in the request, you will see some values, right, which I have shown in the last session as well. Like if you see in the sign in request, you see this kind of alphanumeric value. Okay, or here in login, you will see, if you see this name, you do not worry about. You see this value, alphanumeric, capital letter, small letter, some special characters are also there, or the second value, right? Second value. Same way here. Here, if you see, we have sent our credit card details, right? We in the entry details and continue transaction, right? You remember. Along with that, you see some values which are alphanumeric, and you cannot understand them. So these kind of values are dynamic values. It will be there in everywhere, in every script. Even in this script that for the application for which I've just shown you the video, if you see in login, in launch only, you see you see these two values, alphanumeric in nature, right? Capital letter, small letter. Someone is small, someone is very big, right? Sometimes it's very small as well. You see here, here is one value. So I'll come to that. Okay, don't worry. But like this, okay, like this. Here you see in URL over here. Okay, or here you can see this kind of values here, or here, or here, right, or here. So these values you will find. Okay, they will be, what will be the nature? By looking only, I have shown you so many examples here, right? And as I said, it will be there in every script. In most of the script, this will be there. So now by looking only, you'll get the idea that they will be alphanumeric in nature. Sometime it will be small, sometime it will be very big, it will be having capital letters, it will be having a small letters, it will be having alphabets, right? It will be having number, alphabet, it will be having a special character. It doesn't mean that every value will have a special character. Like here you see these all are in a small letter, right? But they are alphanumeric plus one special character has is there. So it's combination. Okay, it's combination of everything. It can be very small also, like here you can see. It can be sometimes very big. Okay, so these kind of value that you find in the script, those are called as dynamic value. So what is the definition of dynamic value? These are the values coming from server side in previous response and passing with the subsequent request back to the server. Okay. So what is the meaning of this line? I'll tell, but for now understand that these dynamic values are the value coming from the server side in previous response and passing with the subsequent request back to the server. Server means application. They are never constant. Dynamic means never constant. They are never constant in nature. Okay. They changes every time for every same transaction and for every user on the website. Okay. For every user on the website and for every transaction, every same transaction, this value changes. Okay. Dynamic means changing in nature, right? Changing in nature. It will change every time. Now I'll explain you about this dynamic value. Control B. Control C. Okay, so here it's a blackboard. So let us say this is the browser. The user is using the application using browser only, right? And this is the server. Server means application, whatever application. Server. So what happens is, suppose a browser has sent a request, one request. Okay, so a request will contain what? Request body plus request header, right? It will go to the server. Now server will do what? Server will send you response. Right, response will contain what? Response will contain response body plus response header. Now sometime what happens in this response, server sends a dynamic value. So dv, I'll give name as a dv1, let us say dynamic value 1. Okay, now the dynamic value can be present either in request body or it can be present in request header. Sorry, not request, response. This is response, right? So request went right to the server. Request consists of request body, request header. Server response, right? Response. Now response will have response body and response header. Now what happens sometime, uh, server will send you a dynamic value with that response to the browser. To whom? To the browser. Now in that the dynamic value, it can be present in response body or in response header. There is no hard and fast rule. Remember, okay, do not ask me that when it can be present in header, when it can be present in body. Now, right? There is no hard and fast rule. It can be either present in body or in header. Sometimes it is present in both. It all depends on application to application, and it all depends on how the application is designed. So we do not have to worry about, right, like how it occurs, who has designed that. No, the developers has done that. Okay, you do not have to worry. First thing, what you have to worry is you have to just understand. Okay, understand. Fine, understand. So that value will come. It will be either present in response body or in response header. Right? Now that value has come to browser, correct? Because the response body, response header will come to the this whole response with that dynamic value come to the browser. After that, the browser will send. Let us say he will do some other action. So he will send some other request, right? Let us say request 2. Again, obviously the request is consists of request body and request header, right? So what happens is the next request that goes to the server, right? Suppose you did, let us say you did login, or suppose select a product and then you are doing add to cart. So this is suppose add to cart, right? This request, any request, right? Any request. So next request is any request, any transaction request, right? Remember, you send to the server next request. Now with that request, you have to send this dynamic value which came in the browser. Okay, so either in request body or in request header, you have to send that dynamic value back to the server with this request. Then only this next request the server will entertain, otherwise it will not entertain. It will not entertain. Even the request url, right? In request body, what is there? Url is there, right? Remember. Or other things are there, even though they are correct. But with that request, if this dynamic value which server has sent you in the previous response, right, in previous response, if you are not passing it, server will not entertain this request. It will mark this as a fail, okay, or unauthorized. Unauthorized, right? Unauthorized. You have to pass this. So passing this, so this dynamic value which came and passing it to the server, that whole process is known as correlation and parameterization. Okay, so we'll come to this later on. First understand more on this dynamic value, why are they, right, how they come, all this thing, right? Okay, now see, you people go to office, right? Suppose you are working in a company, you are working from past 3 years in that company, right? The gatekeeper, right, on that company, I mean, gut means the security guard, right, who will be there, he know you by the face, correct? But in some company, very strict rules are there. Suppose you are working from past 3 years, the security guard know you by your face, but one day you didn't bring your access card, you forgot your access card, right? Or you forgot your identity card, what we say, right, company card. So they will not allow you to access, even though this fellow, a security guard, know that you are the known guy, he know you by face, but he will not allow. So in that case, you have to take approval from your manager or from some senior person, then only you will be entered in that premises, right? So same way, even the server, to the server, this body and the headers, everything is going good, everything is correct. But with that, if this dynamic value which server has sent you back, if you do not send it to him, uh, with the server, right, this dynamic value which server has sent you in previous response, if you do not send that value back to the server in next request, even though other thing, right, url and other thing are correct, right, the server will not entertain that request. It will mark it as unauthorized or fail. Okay, now this dynamic value thing, it can occur in any request. Remember, It can occur in any request, occur in any transaction, in any transaction. There is no hard and fast rule, as I said. In any transaction, maybe login, launch, any transaction, depending on application to application. In any transaction, these values can occur. And very important thing you have to remember is that when you see this value, obviously you will see this value in a request body or in request header passing to the server. So this values has came in the response, in the previous response, right? Remember, in the previous response from the server side only. So what is the origin of this value? This value first occur from the server side only. Server only sends that value in the previous response to the browser, and in the next request, with that request, uh, from the browser side to the server, those values goes, right? So if you see in all this script, see here, you see it's going, right? It's a part of request body, right? This URL, it's going in here body, right? It's going to the server, means it has came in some previous response. Okay, server has sent this in some previous response. Same way, if you see that these two values going over here, so it means that these two value were there in some previous response. Server has sent them in previous response. Okay, maybe in the response of this 22 or some other, right? Whatever the previous requests are there, right? So if it is going in 23, if you see, so previous is 22 or 7. So there is rule for that, how to check, what to check, but it has came from the server only in previous response, and then it is going to with this request back to the server, these two value. Understand? It's like cookie only. You remember in cookies section, I told that how the cookies are generated. Cookies are first generated from the server side, and then only they are stored in the browser and then go back to the server with every transaction you do, right? That cookies remember the sessions, right? This is not the cookie, but behavior is same. Okay, cookies also come from the server side only initially. These also always also comes from the server side only in the initially in previous response and goes to the server in next request, right? Now to understand that, let us take realistic one real time like one real example, real world example. So again, see, so as I said, this browser, right? Server, request, response, request, it has request body plus request header, response, right? Response. So response has again response body or response header. Now this, the server has sent a DV value, dynamic value, either in request body or in request header. Now whatever the next transaction you are doing, next request you are sending, uh, either in request body or in request header, you have to send that dv1 which came previously, right? In either in request body and request header, you have to send back to the server, then only server will entertain this request. Fine. So this process is like OTP. If a new beginner are there in this batch, right, they want to understand this, so you have to understand this from the OTP perspective. OTP is totally different thing, but to understand, see, whenever you do a financial transaction, right? Let us say you have purchased something, and then you are on the banking page, right? You remember, and you have selected everything. Now that bank asks the OTP. So that whenever you are on that page, so the OTP comes to our mobile, right? On our mobile, this is mobile. On our mobile, the OTP has sent. Who has sent that? That server, right? Who server? The bank server, bank application. Server means what? The application, same thing, right? Application server, same thing. So that application or that bank server has sent the mobile OTP on your mobile. Now that OTP needs to be entered on that page. On which page? On the bank's page only. And once you enter that OTP and then you select submit or something, that OTP with that request goes back to that bank application. Then bank reads that request, right? Okay, this request has came, and with that, whether that OTP has came or not, it will verify. When he will verify, then he will allow that transaction to happen, right? So understand who sent the OTP initially. Who has sent the OTP initially? Server has sent. And to whom you are sending the OTP? Again to the server only, right? First server only sends you the OTP, and you have to send that OTP back to the server only in that page, right? Entering that OTP. So same, these dynamic value are like that one. Server will first send you the dynamic value, and in the next request, you have to send back that dynamic value to the server. Then only that request will be entertained like this, right? If you give wrong OTP or if you do not give, will that server will entertain that request? No, right? No, right? Same way. Now few more example. Okay, let us say that so this is bank server, right? This is the form where OTP needs to be entered, right? Suppose you've done some. So let us say on ICICI or anything, you have sent some money to a friend, right? So you have done one transaction and your OTP came. Let us say OTP1, whatever OTP came, that is giving a name as OTP1. That OTP you have to enter. Who has sent you that OTP? Server only has sent you that OTP. That OTP you have to enter on that form, and then you have to select submit, and that OTP with that request will go back to the server only. And then after that, that amount will be transferred to your friend. Now, immediately within 1 minute, or within 1 minute or 30 seconds, you are doing another transaction. Let us say you are sending a money to another friend. Again, it will ask you OTP. So at that time, can you give the first OTP which came for first transaction? Can you give? No, right? You cannot give. You have, the server will send another OTP. OTP2, let us say, you can say OTP2. Next OTP, right? Next OTP. Okay. So server will send you OTP2, next OTP, right? And that you have to enter on the next new transaction that you are sending the money to your second friend. Within 1 minute also you are doing, let it be. But you cannot send the old OTP. You cannot enter the old OTP on that form. You have to say, enter the new OTP that server has sent. So same way this dynamic value also behave. Let us say, uh, suppose you send this request, server has send you a response. With that, server send you dynamic value, and again next request you are sending, with that you have to send the dynamic value 1 back. Now again, if you are doing that, again if you are sending that request, again this transaction, again if you are repeating, remember, within 1 minute only, if you are repeating, let it be, server will send you new dynamic value. The old one it will not recognize. It will send you new dynamic value, and that new dynamic value that you have to send him back. Okay, same like OTP. Same thing in bank, same transaction I am doing, only I'm transferring to another friend. But first OTP will not take, right? Second OTP, suppose, again I'll repeat, right? Suppose you have to transfer money to two of the friends. So when you transfer to first friend, one OTP came, right? And you enter that and you transfer the money immediately within 1 minute, or let us say within 30 seconds only, very fast, you are doing a transfer to another friend. So again it will ask the OTP. So can you give the first OTP? No, it will never take only, right? So you have to give the second OTP, the server will send, like that. Same transaction if you do, that previous value has expired, previous OTP has expired, you cannot use. Server will send you new dynamic value. Let it be same transaction you are doing repeatedly, okay? And that new dynamic value you have to send back to the server. So these value are every time new only. For every user it's new, for every time it is new. Okay, every time you are doing like OTP thing, it is new, and for every user it's new. Now understand every user example. Let us say that there is and like let us say on ICIC only 2 people are there, okay, or 10 people are there. 10 people have logged in, and they are transferring money to their friends. 10 people at the same time they are transferring money to their friends. Okay, now server will send 10 OTPs, right? 10 OTP to each mobile, right? Each 10 users mobile, right? And each one has to put their OTP on their page, right? Obviously all will be having 10 pages, right? So each one, whatever OTP they have received, they have to put their own OTP on that page and do the transaction, correct? And each one will be having unique OTP, that you know, right? Unique OTP. No one will be having same OTP, right? Plus the OTP are always unique, right? Let us say even you are doing same transaction also multiple time, you will get different OTP, right? In OTP are never same in this world, right? So likewise all 10 will be having different OTP, and all will get different OTP on your their mobile, and they have to enter whatever the OTP they have received on that page, right? Can it happen that suppose this user, he received, let us say, some OTP, I'll give it as OTP 1, and this user, he has received some other OTP, right? Let us say I'll give it name as OTP 2. So can they interchange? Will it accept? uh, right, you're getting what I'm saying, right? Suppose two friends, and they are sending money to their different their other friends, right? Both are friends only. Now just for a practice, or just for a example purpose also, they are thinking like, let us try by changing the OTP. I'll use yours, so you use mine, and put the OTP, and we'll do the transaction. Will the server will accept? Never. It never happens. That is security. That is how high level security is, right? So same way, these dynamic values, let it be 10 people, or let it be 100 people, or let it be 1,000 people, or let it be 1 lakh people, sending this request to the server, and all those 1 lakh people or 1,000 people will receive response, right? So with that response, each one will get new their own unique dynamic value. Each one will be having unique dynamic value they will be receiving from the server, right? Each one. So let us say in like I'll come back, right? Each one will be having unique dynamic value, receiving their own unique dynamic value, and they have to send that unique dynamic value back to the server in the next transaction, right? In the next request, right? You got. So to understand this OTP, those who are new, understand like the to understand this dynamic value thing, if you understand this OTP concept, because everyone knows the OTP concept, it's same. Okay, relation is same, the behavior of functionality is same, right? So well, come back to the, let us say here this login transaction, right? This login transaction over here. So let us say 100 people or 1 lakh people or 2 lakh people are doing login, correct? So they will be sending this value which are going over here, all will be sending their different unique dynamic value, not this one. Different unique dynamic value in this place, right? Suppose this 100 people are doing this login, so along with their username and password, right, they will be sending their unique dynamic value, like how the different people will get different OTP and they have to send. So they will be sending different unique dynamic value. Okay, so all these things are handled through correlation parameters. So right now, now you got right why we bother about this. Okay, why we bother about correlation and parameterization first. I'll come to these examples, just a second, wait. So how they come, you know, right? Why they come? How they come, we have understood, right? Why they come? They come to make the each user and transaction in this world unique to that website, and helps in doing a secure transaction. Correct? Why we should bother about them? Correct? Why you should bother about them? This value, why you should bother? So as I said, see, this value is already generated, right? it's like OTP. When you were doing the recording, at that time only this value came from the server side in any of this previous transaction, right? In the response, see what is the uh, definition of dynamic width? They always come from the server in previous response and passes in next subsequent request, right? Like OTP. So if you see this value is passing over here, it means that it has came from the server side in the response of either 22 or 7 or 3. In anyone it has came in the response, right? So this value, when was doing recording, already it has came from in the response from server, and it has passed over here. Means it has been utilized. It means it has been now expired. It's like OTP, already utilized. Now you cannot utilize it. If you utilize it, and if you do not handle it, right? If you pass this as it is to the server, so when you will be doing login will not happen. Okay, it fail, login will fail, like how the same OTP, right? If you are doing the same transaction again, correct, if you are sending the money again, and if you are using the same OTP again, you cannot do the login, you cannot do the transaction, right? Same way, not only login, anything, any, right? As I said, these values can occur in any transaction. So let us say here in this transaction, correct, if you are sending these details, and let us say clicking on continue, if you pass this value as it is, this old value, this request will not be entertained, it will fail. Okay, it will fail, correct, first thing. So that's why we have to bother, right? Because we have to change this value, we have to pass the new value here, new OTP, understand, right? New value, or you can say new OTP, correct. OTP is not the correct example, but to relate, right, to make a relation with this concept, I'm using the example of OTP, correct. So because this behavior is same as OTP only, so these are already used, you cannot pass them. If you pass them, login will not happen. Or if you send this request, with that request, obviously this data will go to the server. This is the old value which is already expired. If you send it again to the server, server will not entertain this request, right? Correct, like OTP, first thing. Second thing, suppose we will be running load testing, right? Performance testing for 100 users or 1000 users, right? Or 10,000 users. So all 10,000 user will be doing login, right? Or all 10,000 users will be doing this enter details and continue. So what will happen, what I told just now related to OTP, that if that transaction 10 people are doing or 1 lakh people are doing, everyone will be sending their own new their own unique OTP, right? So same way, if this login, if 10,000 people are doing or 100 people are doing, they have to send their own dynamic values over here, their own. All 100 will be receiving, or all 1 lakh will be receiving new dynamic value, their own unique dynamic value, and they have to pass that one over here, correct, or over here. For this, uh, the server may have sent that dynamic value in previous response, right, for all those 1000 users or 100 users, and they have to send that dynamic, their own unique value over here. So how you can do that, right? How you can pass this dynamic value over here, 1000 dynamic value over here for 1000 users, right? So that is what, right? So handling these values, this is what correlation and parameterization. What is handling? Handling means passing the new value for that user, which is coming from the server side. New value, right, will come in the previous transactions, right? In the previous transaction, it will come from the server, and that we have to pass over here, right? uh, uh, the new value we have to pass. So this process of handling, capturing the value from previous, uh, okay, wait, so the process of handling these values is called correlation and parameters, and basically how that is done, we have to capture wait, there is some echo, just a
This conference will now be recorded.
So the handling, right? Handling means passing the new value which is coming from the server in previous response and passing that over here. So that is called handling, and that handling is known as correlation parameterization. The process of handling is known as correlation and parameterization. Now how that is done? So whenever we will be running, right, running this script, so this will be executed, or maybe this will be executed, so we'll be getting the response, right? Let us say we'll be getting the response of 22. Now obviously in that response, server will must have sent that value. It will always send. It cannot occur out of sudden. Okay, it always come in the response. So server has sent this value maybe in the response. So from there we have to extract, and we have to pass it over here. We have to pass it over, extract and pass, right? So that is that process, or that is how it is handled, and that is known as correlation and parameter. And this is why we should bother about the dynamic values. Okay, handling the dynamic value is the main thing, and that is why we should bother about them. Correct. Now talking about the occurrence, so as you said, they can occur anywhere. You see here in our JPET store, it's occurring in 22, and they can have any name. It's here, it's called JSSN ID. If you see in login, uh, its name is source page or FP. Ignore the name. Name can be anything, right? Our focus should be on the dynamic value. It is occurring here. In enter details and continue, if you see, it's occurring over here, right? The source page and FP ID name is same, right? If you see here in login one, the name is name of the parameter or name of this value, source page or FP ID. Here also the source page and FP ID, it's same, but the values are different. You see this value, or you see this below value. If you come here, you see this value, or you see this, they are different, right? So name can be same, but with name with same name, the value will be different. Okay, it will be different. So in our script, it's passing at three places, like here in sign in, or here in login, or here in enter details and continue. Right, plus so it can occur in any transaction, as you said, right? In this script, for which I have just shown you the video, right? You remember, launch was having two transaction. Launch transaction was having two requests, right? And you see in the second request of the launch, okay, in the second request of the launch, see the two values. This is the second request of launch, right? This is launch one, launch two. On the dynamic value only, I bought, lost the connection. Okay, I'll repeat it again. Okay, so can anyone speak, like where I missed the audio? Audio was not there for a while. Can anyone let me know?
No, nothing like that. We are able to hear you properly.
Okay, okay. So yeah, so if, as I said, uh, so in launch, as I said, right, in any transaction it can happen, and for the application for which we have just seen the video, right? So launch transaction has two requests, and in the second request only, if you see two dynamic values going, state ID and non-C ID, right? Name, we do not worry, but yeah, you see here in login, right? When we did login, five requests are there. So in first request of the login only, here one value. Dynamic value can be very small as well. You see here, right? Or here, right? Right, like that. So anywhere it can occur. There is no hard and fast rule. All depends on application to application. It can be login, it can be launch also. Here it's in all launch only. Okay, so you do not think it will be always in login. No, it can be in any transaction depending on how the developers and the security guy of the application has worked on. Okay, so yeah, fine. Okay, so that is what the occurrence where they can occur. And remember one thing, many people say that it's they think that it is automatically generated. No, it never happens. It never happens. Okay, if you work properly on your script, this value will be certainly in any of the previous request, in the response of any of the previous request. This value cannot be generated automatically. Okay, somewhere it will be there. You will be missing something. Even in login only, you see, sorry, launch for this application, right? If this value is passing over here, it is there, it was there in the first request. When the first request got fired, right? First request, when it got fired, so response came. In that response, server has sent those two values, right? And those two value passed with the second request of this launch, with here back to the server, back to the server. So always that value will be sent by the server only in any of the previous response. You have to just record it correctly. You have to just understand it correctly. Okay, because many people, they do not record it properly, right? And they say that, hey, I'm not finding that value where it is. It's not, I'm not getting in the previous response, because you must have not recorded properly, or you must have deleted some request accidentally. Okay, that's why the value you cannot find. It can never be generated automatically. This value always comes from server in any of the previous response, and passes back to the server in the request, right? Whether it can be in request body or here URL. So where it can pass, that I'll come back. Now coming back to some names, right? So dynamic values are two type. Okay, remember, two type. One is conventional dynamic value, and another one is non-conventional dynamic. Fine. So the conventional dynamic values are the main one on which we have to focus more. This conventional dynamic value are also known as authentication token or authorization token. Okay, authentication or authorization tokens. And authentication or authorization token or conventional dynamic value. So these are like some names I have given. Suppose session ID, CSRF, bearer access token, view state ID you will get on .NET platform, Aura token, non-CID, SML. Few example I have just given it, right? These are like common you'll get in most of the application, but it doesn't mean that every application has these only, because if you see on JPEG store, this value have some other name, right? Source page or FP, correct? Here if you see, they have name as state ID, non-CID, right? But this value which is going in this URL, this is small value, see, it doesn't have any name, only no name, right? No name. So it can happen. Okay, it doesn't mean that every value will have some name. Here it's no name, you see, there is no name, it's just the value. Then here this value which I told, no name, right? Correct. Okay, then here you see this value, it has name, right? You can see this name, some name. Fine. So sometime it can have name, sometime it cannot have any name, right? So name is not important, but yeah, some examples I have kept, some common name, right? Common name I have kept. First thing. Second thing, these are why they are important, why they are called authentication token or authorization token, because if you, as I said just now, they are OTP. They are like OTP. If you do not pass them, right? If you do not handle them, if you do not pass the new value over here, the new OTP or the new value over here, the new dynamic value over here, this request will not be entertained at all. Server will not entertain this request. whenever you will be replaying this script and you'll be sending this request to the server, right, to receive the response. That is what we are measuring, right? You have to send this request and you have to check the bring the response, and you have to check how much response time it is taking. That is what performance testing. So when you are sending this request and you are getting the response, if you do not send this value, the server will not entertain only, and it will not send that response. Correct? It will not entertain only. Fine. Okay. So right, so that's why they are called authentication token or authorization token, because they are main, they act as a authorization token, right? If you do not send the correct one, the request will not be entertained, or we call them as a conventional dynamic value. There are some non-conventional dynamic value also, non-conventional or business scenario related dynamic value. Example for them are like customer ID, order ID, bill number, PNR number. So they are called non-conventional or business related dynamic values. Okay. So for an example here, the order ID, right? If you remember, there is a scenario where we are clicking on the order ID, right, in our JPEG store. So let us say that order ID is captured over here. So this was the order ID when we recorded and we clicked on this, right? But next time this order ID will change, right? Again, if you run this script, a new order ID will be generated, and we have to click on the new order ID, right? Not the old one. So like that. So this is application related. Okay, this order ID is application related flow. So like that, so application related flow, the application or business related values, which you see that they are also changing, like customer or ID, order ID, bill number. They are also, they also falls in category of dynamic value, but they are called non-conventional dynamic value. Fine. And right, so they are not that much of important. They are secondary important, but first important is of this one. Okay, because if you do not pass them, or if you do not uh, pass this the new one over here, or like new OTP, this request only will not be entertained, right? So that is what the importance is. Okay, so yeah, right, so they can occur anywhere. They do not have any name, sometimes they have name, sometimes they do not have any name, right? Okay, so that is what the nature of dynamic values is, and we have to handle them, correct? And the process of handling is known as correlation parameters. Now you'll ask me, uh, is this happen in our browser as well? Yes. Whenever any user browse any application in browser, this thing happens. This thing happens, but at that time it is handled by browser. So I'll show you, right? Do not worry. So what I'll do, I'll open F12. And let us go to our JPEG store. Okay, so wait. So now I'm going to do a sign in. Okay, I'll be clicking on sign in. So let us click on sign in. Fine. So you can see the sign in request over here. Okay. Sign in request. These are embedded resources. Ignore them. Sign in request. That is over here as well. If you go to response tab, this is the response. So what I'll do, response comes over here also, right? A response always comes in code format. So I'll open the response. Now I will search for source page ID. Fine. So you see a source page ID here. Okay, source page value. I will copy this. It is from here to here. and I'll put it in Notepad. Okay. There are two source page ID here. One is here as well. Sometime it can happen on same page, two source page, two same dynamic value. Means name is same, right? You see name is same, but the value is different. It can happen, right? I don't know why it's like that, because it's all developer thing, right? We do not have to worry about it. We have to just understand. So these are two source page ID, right? Present on that response. Same way there are two FP ID as well. So if I go this side, you see this is one FP ID. And this is one FP ID here. This is second FP ID. Fine. Now I'll do what? I will clear this and I'll do the login. Fine. Let us do the login. Login done. Now I'll be checking this first request. Go to headers here. Come to headers. Scroll down. You see the form data. With form data, the username and password went, right? G2EE and password. Along with that, you see the source page and FP ID. I'll just copy this. Only half I'll copy, not whole, right? Just for reference. Fine. This is FP ID. So this is the source page ID. This is the FP ID, which passed with the username and password to the server. You see the login that got captured. Source page and FP, right? This is new this time. It's starting with 6i and OE, right? Uh, once which is captured over here when we did the recording, that was different, because that was the old, right? It always get generated new, right? I just said even same user logged in, right? Just now with same user I logged in, but it's this time it's new, right? So this is what I said. Same person doing that financial transaction, every time you'll get new OTP. So this is what every time we'll get new dynamic value. And even same you like multiple person, right? 1000 or 1 lakh people doing login with different their own username and password, they will get different OTP. So they will get different dynamic value, and they have to send that their own unique dynamic value back to the server. Okay, so you see here, so it came in the previous response, right? You remember this was the value, and it got passed over, right, back to the server. Or this was the FPID, right, the second one. And this where it was present in the previous response, right? It was present, this both, and it passed back to the server, right? So this happens in our browser as well. Whenever any user or anyone, not only this application, any application, when you do, the dynamic value comes and they passes back to the server, but that is handled by our browser, right? You see here, it was handled by our browser, correct? It was handled by our browser, right? But in the script, this is script, since it's not a browser, right? It's not a browser, it's a tool, and we have to make this tool behave as a browser, or behave like how a real user is doing. We have to make this script, this is known as a script. We have to make this script behave as real person, right? Real browser doing. So here it cannot handle automatically, so we have to make that handle, right? So that is known as correlation and parameterization, right? How to handle, right? So you got the idea. These things happens in our browser as well, but only thing, browser handles that automatically, but in our scripting, this is we have to handle, right? Because this is what we are making this act as a real kind of a stuff, right? So we have to make the scripting kind, like from our side we have to and make this handle, right? Make this handle, because it cannot handle it automatically. Same way, let us say this enter tool, right? Here also one dynamic value is passing. So I'll just show you immediately. So let us select a product, any product I'm selecting, right? Not same product, I'm selecting another product. Then select pet, then one, right? So this value, okay, so this value, this two value is going in 45. So it must be present in the response of 39, right? There is a rule for that. For now, ignore that. So when you go to when you do proceed to checkout, this two value will be coming from the server. Okay, not this two value, but like this only, right? So I'll do add to cart. After that, I'll clear all this and I'll do proceed to checkout. Okay, so you can check the this is the request. You can go in response. You can check that value over here, or what I'll do, I'll open from here, and here also you see source page ID two value. Okay, source page ID two, again two source page ID are there, right? So let this page as it is. Now what I'll do, I will fill the details here, right? Let us select a MasterCard only. Let us give some data. Here I'm just filling something. Okay, do not worry. And I'll click on continue. So you see this request right here, and you scroll down. So you see this all form data right up to here. This is what we sent back to the server. This is the form data or user inputs, right? Or body, right? Body. So you can see them captured over here as well, right? All these things. Apart from that, you see the two dynamic value here, source page and FP. So this one, if you see it's starting with some HKR, right? So it was there in that previous response. You see HKRXI, and that FPID, right? You see FPID is starting with ABI. So here ABI. So when we did the proceed to checkout, so at that time, what was the response? In that response, this value were present. And then after filling the detail, I sent that request. So with that request, this value went to the server along with the user inputs, right? Correct. So this is what in browser it is handled automatically. These values in our script, we have to get it handled from our side doing by using the process of correlation and parameters. And it doesn't mean that do not think that here I am passing some inputs like user and password, so the dynamic value will pass, or here we are passing some user input, so here dynamic value will pass. No, as I said, there is no hard and fast rule. Come to this example, right? You see in launch only this value is passing. We are not passing anything on launch. Launch is very simple because launch only in the second request of launch this value passes, right? So it can pass in any request. It doesn't mean that uh, with only those where you are sending the input only with those these values will pass. No, it can pass anywhere. Let us say enter a store only, right? Here sign in sign in, what we are doing, we are not doing anything, we are just clicking sign in. But in sign in also, here you see that value is passing. Okay, fine. So that is all about this understanding of the dynamic value. Now next we'll be talking about like uh, where they occur in the script, right? And then how to identify them, and then how to handle them. Okay, so that we will see tomorrow. So that is for today. So thank you.